getting some energy.
We're on already, shit!
Oh wait, we're streaming. We're streaming now.
Yeah, we're streaming.
Yep.
we're
Hello, hello, hello.
We're like,
We are here.
we only got 16 seconds. Oh no, we're streaming.
Yep.
Yeah, just kidding.
I
Yeah, we're
kind of
actually
jumped
on
in
now.
a little early. Well, but we're here. We're here.
Fine, we're all fine here. How are you?
Or are we here?
Yes,
We are. We are here.
We exist. Because they are traveling and working. Ellie and, Orkilia and Jasmine will not be here tonight. So we'll be catching them up next week, which will be kind of fun. For those of you who were here last week,
It's showing on the stream that I am Aramiel and
Oh shit, it switched you. I'm so sorry. Wait, how did that happen?
yeah, I don't know. It's
Apologies.
no.
There we go. No,
Sorry.
Okay, for those who were not here last week, I'm going to tell you where we ended up. Our intrepid party of mixed humans and elves and dragons are now a party of only elves and dragons because the humans had a little bit of a change, which was required for them to go into this underground kingdom where they're trying to figure out where Penny came from. Anyway, so that was pretty hard decision, and but they did it. So now they all look like elves. Although Ellie looks a little different, and Shauna looks a little different. Penny went through it too. And although it didn't give her memory back, now she looks very different from the tormented and tortured Penny that we all know and love.
Yeah, they don't like me anymore.
Yep, and then also did that to the two children elven components, and they were also healed. And Chris got your shirt back from Alex, because Alex was wearing it last week. We were pretty sure.
It wasn't was it last week or was it the week before?
No, it was last.
No,
It was last week, yeah.
last week I was wearing something different.
Yep, and there was a long discussion by our viewers about
Oh, really?
Yep.
shirt theft.
Yeah,
Anyway.
it's the stream of the traveling shirt.
Yes.
Yep.
The traveling shirt. Yeah, if you ever get a chance, I'm sorry, I'm totally, as we're getting worked into it, we'll get there in a moment. Go see Lamageddon. You can see it online. Because there's a shirt gag. There's a character in there whose shirt changes not just every scene, literally every shot.
What?
And it's great. So you have to watch it just for Dave's shirt, if nothing else.
Amazing.
Lamageddon, as opposed to Alpaca-Apocalypse.
Alpaca
which is what it was
Apocalypse.
almost named.
I'll pack your apocalypse.
Yeah.
What?
Anyway,
Wow.
so now the last little bit is they decided, because now they're all elves and not humans, which are not allowed in Elvenhome. We got to go to Elvenhome, and we left the party stepping onto the back of something like an airborne manta ray that's flying them through the air towards a very large tower in the center of a very strange city. Shauna, would you like to show everybody our picture, or shall I share it?
I can show it.
Okay, you show it. There's the one. See that tall tower? That is where they're headed.
Apologies.
But you'll notice
I see nothing.
all of these caverns down there. As you guys are flying over them, you realize that there's lights down in the cavern. All the lights have this kind of a blue glow, much like the blue melted crystal that you guys saw in that first room.
I mean, we gotta lie, it kind of totally looks like a Protoss city.
Yeah.
Starcraft.
Yeah. Well, you know, Starcraft rocks.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And so, as we come back to our intrepid party. Oh my God. One second.
Hey, this episode is sponsored by Ready Fresh. Hello Fresh. God damn it, I do that every time.
Ready, Brad.
I
You're
don't even
still
know.
ready for HelloFresh.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
they're
I
ready.
am so
Ready for
ready for
there you go.
HelloFresh.
Well, I'm
It's
getting
not
my
even
head
funny.
centered and stuff. It's been an interesting week. I've driven 5 of the last 6 days. And so now I'm just kind of like, get back in.
Bring it.
Okay, now we're going to dive back in. You're flying over this underground city. You see the lights below, things that look like movement, more of these flying things with people on them. A few of them seem to have like chairs or benches or, baskets on their back with people in them. But some of them, the people are just standing on them, much like you guys,
I would like
flying
to say hello.
You're going to go fly around at them?
Hi there.
They turn and they look at you. They don't respond really, except for a kid. It's not really a kid. It's a younger adult and stuff. And he turns and is like, but the others are like,
Toss him a wink.
uh-huh. Anyway, there's lots of whispering happening on. And then you hear a screech down below you, Grim. And you look down, and beneath you, looking up, is another one of those things with a couple of elves on it that look very much like Mizanayaki, with the glowing eyes and the kind of the very pale skin, somewhat lich-like. And they're looking up at you, and you hear clearly one of them say, "The gate must have failed," in Elvish. In ancient Elvish.
It's okay, it's just me.
And it's like, then you hear them, they go back to talking in undertones and stuff. But you catch Mizanayaki's name and a great deal of displeasure in their voices. All might not be as well as one might hope in Wonderland here. So the rest of you keep flying, and it's interesting as you're flying up here on the tops of those cliff faces and stuff. Everything, there's lots of beautiful houses and stuff, but everything is very still. You see a lot of little, almost like docks, where it's clear that these flying things let their passengers off. But as you look down further into the pits, into the caverns, in between these tall things, you see that there's more light and there seems to be more movement down there. But you can't really make it out from up here. But it's actually really quite pretty with that blue glow kind of illuminating everything. And as you get closer to this tall tower, you realize that it has openings on 4 of the levels, but it's probably a 30-level tower. But 4 of the levels have openings for these flying beasts. As you come in, do any of you say anything to Mizanayaki while you're flying over there, or are you just taking in all the sights and soaking it up? It's a very different world from what you're used to.
Go ahead.
I was going to say I'm pretty baffled at this point. I didn't even know dragons still existed until like yesterday, or maybe just earlier today. So I'm just kind of like sitting there like doing one of these numbers. That's all.
Grim has no filter, so he'll fly back to the rest of the group.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, those other elves down there sounded very upset with you. I talked to Mia's.
Mizanayaki. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Why are they upset with you?
Did I do something wrong?
Oh no, just existing upsets them. They are old and set in their ways. And they believe they should be the ones to rule because they don't understand what that means.
Huh. You know, my dad's old and set in his ways, and he doesn't act that way.
Indeed. Then he's wise.
You know, that's what people said. I didn't really... Well, I didn't have anything to compare it to. It's just kind of he and I for a long time.
He looks at you a little more closely and says, "And what was your dad's name?"
Oh, Aristotrax.
Aristotrax.
Penny from wherever she is over on the creature is going to be like, Grimace the Fruifratrax!
You'll get it one day. I know you will.
I have hands.
You do. Oh, Joey, get you new hands.
You did.
Everyone laughed, but who's
True. They were wrong.
That's right. They were.
Miss Anayaki is being surprisingly quiet for most of this flight. Just ask that one's question, answering questions, but not really speaking a lot until you get closer to the tower. When he lets go of the reins or whatever this is that's guiding it, it doesn't look like it's like a horse. It's just like a touch thing. He turns to you all and he says, "We are to the tower. This is where the rulership happens in this place. I will need each of you to go with the person that I assigned to take you to your quarters, and they will educate you a little and answer questions about this place. You're welcome to explore, but I would ask that you not mention humans or alchemages while you do so. Just be as if you were always elves. The kind of elves that you are will stand out already."
Well, what about me?
You are not the first dragon here. You'll be okay.
Okay. I mean, others seem to notice that I was new.
Indeed. And they will all find out very soon. Because now that the protections have been breached, their lives are all at risk. And they will all be being informed.
So, when will we be talking about, speaking of imminent danger, the imminent danger that is...
Imminent?
Yeah.
I need to gather our Senate. And once we have our Senate gathered, then we will all hear the same things together, so that they are aware that nothing has been withheld from them. In the meantime, I would ask that you learn about this place so that you can become familiar and understand what is at risk here.
Should I stay like this, or...
Is your alternate form human or elven?
It's human.
Then you should stay like that.
Okay. Yeah. I'm fine with that.
What would happen if he was seen as human?
I don't know. What would happen in your world if he was seen as elven?
Fair point.
We'd invite him onto our gang, obviously.
You would. And there are some here that would do the same. But they've had a millennia of horror stories about what the humans have done to us. They won't be as welcoming type of human.
Yeah.
Is the platform here large enough for me to get
Oh,
off?
yes. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, well, because these flying beasts that you guys are standing on, they're a good 20, 30 feet across. This one that you're on. And there's some that are bigger and some that are smaller, but they are not small. And the fact that more than one could land on that place means it is plenty big enough for you. Especially here at the tower, you have a feeling that that this is where the blue dragon came as well, because there's definitely space for something that large.
Oh, good. Okay, I just didn't want to be hovering this whole time.
Yeah.
What? Sorry, that was a weird techno glitch. Okay. Penny would absolutely be very curious about these creatures that we were riding on. Like, what are they called? She's gonna ask in her very kind of broken way. What are these?
We call them just the wings.
Huh.
Some nice wings.
Do they look like anything I've read about?
Roll me an intelligence check. That will never not be fun.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Just saying.
Okay, 16 plus 2, so 18.
18? No, actually, which is surprising in itself.
Huh. Never seen or heard of anything like these.
That is because they were discovered after we became isolated, as did many of the things here.
Huh.
Are they anything kind of like the bat creatures we saw earlier?
No, they are a different race altogether. They are somewhat more intelligent than the bat-like creatures that you saw earlier, the moon. However, they all have their purpose. In such place, nothing can be wasted. There are too many, too few resources.
So, while everyone else is kind of like doing that, Cross is still very much being Cross and just kind of gauging everything that he can see from, especially on the lines of defenses, guards, posts, things, because like that's his mind's just always very
Right.
military, or like how do I, if I need to, how do I get out if this needs to be defended, what's going on. So he's that's, if anything, this whole ride, that's kind of what he's looking around and gauging about.
Okay, roll me a perception check.
Is a 15 plus 10, that is a 25.
Okay. What you see is that you cannot see down into the caverns in between. Other than that, there's lights down there. They're very tall. Now, how people get from up and down, you don't know. The buildings at the top are fairly nicely made and carved in beautiful, ornate ways. But
Sorry.
what's down below, you can't really tell. You see nothing that looks like a military or an armed person or anything like that. It just doesn't seem to be a thing here, or if it is a thing, it's not something that you've ever encountered, so you wouldn't recognize it.
Okay. Upon that, he is going to ask, you did mention that people were a bit worried that the gate has been breached. Do you have a standing military or defense or something else that in case of emergencies?
Largo.
Mizanayaki turns and says, Largo is one. There are a number of defenses, but it's not an army. We haven't needed an army in 700 years. Our defenses are more mystical in nature.
These wing creatures? Can I have one?
And at that, for the very first time, Mizanayaki smiles and says, even after all this time, Saba, you are still the same.
What?
Have I always liked creatures?
Yes.
Every head turns.
Yeah.
So
Tell us
it's
more.
yeah, is that a yes?
Yes, that is absolutely a yes. You have always liked creatures.
Oh,
Uh,
I meant, can
Oh,
I
can you have one?
have one?
We'll see. They
Have
would
we
not
reached the tower
survive on
yet?
the surface.
Okay.
You're getting very close, and as you get closer and closer, you realize it's really big. It's, from the distance, it's like, okay, that's big. Then it's like, no, that's kind of really big. And then it's really, really big. And then it's really, really big.
I'm going to try and flop on it to give it a hug.
Oh, the tower or the wing thing?
The wing
The
thing.
wing thing. Okay. It doesn't make any sound, but the skin where you're at kind of like vibrates a little bit. You don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it does. It vibrates a little bit.
Oh,
The tower, as it gets closer to you guys, seems to take a really long time before it obscures your vision to the point where you get to one of those landing pads, because it's just so big. And finally, the wing thing, the wing, as they call it, pulls up, and it doesn't land on the ground. It pulls up to the edge of like a dock where you can climb off of it.
Cross in his head is thinking to himself, he's just like, how the fuck did humans ever like conquer this? Like just looking at like how big everything is and just how like extravagant. And he's just like, and looking at the state of the world and like humanity, and he's just like, wow, humans. Like, first of all, how did we conquer the elves, and also, why does everything suck so much more? Like, that's kind of like what he's thinking in his head.
Yeah, well, by 700 years, a lot of things change. But I mean, that's just your pondering. You guys pull in, and he gestures for you to climb off the wing.
very hesitantly, Penny does so.
Okay. It's actually just a little bit nerve-wracking because there's a little gap between the edge of the moving phalanges and the dock. And what you can see is that it goes so far down, you cannot see the bottom from up here. So hope it doesn't
never
move.
mind. Somebody else is gonna get me off. I'm not moving.
I gotcha. Grim will come by with.
Hold out his.
I'll jump. Bye, wing creatures.
Deposit you well away from the edge.
Thank you.
There you go. How about the rest of you?
Yeah, we're there. It's time to get off.
Easy enough.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not even going to make you roll it because it actually is easy enough. Because if you start to act like your footing is off, the wing compensates, like it's paying attention to, pretty sensitive to weights and balances.
Mm-hmm.
So, you all manage to get off, and Mizanayaki touches the wing's flat head there, or you think it's a head. You're not really sure. It's just like a disc with, who knows. And he doesn't really seem to say anything, but there does seem to be communication as it then flies off.
Bye.
And he turns and he faces towards you and says, here's our hosts. And you hear movement coming up behind you.
Hello.
Like from inside the tower.
I'm going to sidle up to him and just be like, Can I go with you?
And he says, that is my intention. So, Grimadrakutha tracks, if you would go with, and he gestures.
Oh.
Largo.
Oh, hi, Largo.
And as you do that, you turn, because he's not right here. His head comes up above the edge of the thing, and he's right there. He says, "Come with me."
I'll see everyone later.
Bye, bye,
And he
Grimmith.
turns without waiting for you and begins to fly off.
And he will just launch.
Woohoo! Okay. And then Cross and Aramiel and Orkilia and Jazz when you turn. And there is a person there for each of you, an elven person. Cross, the one there that's looking like he's probably there for you because he's looking at you. Best way you can tell. He's definitely not a lich, not like Mizanaki. He is definitely.
So you're saying Mizanaki is a lich?
Oh, absolutely. You can tell that from how pale and his skin was and the glowing eyes.
We never confirmed that, so.
Okay. This one, he definitely is elven, but the kind of elven is different. It's like you, but bleached. White skin, black eyes, almost hairless. This man. And he looks. Roll me an insight check. Let me see if I can tell you how he looks.
There it is. 18.
Okay. He looks hard. He looks hard as nails. Like this guy is one tough son of a bitch. And he's looking at you. In silence. It's really unnerving for for kind of a long moment. Then he nods as if he's made some sort of a decision. And he says, "You come with me." And he turns and he begins walking away, like somebody who's not used to having his commands ignored.
I mean, I didn't ignore him yet, but
no, exactly.
Oh, you mean just like he just walked away, like, oh, he's going to follow me,
right?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cross just kind of goes, and just, he's got no reason not to.
Okay. As you step forward, and the child steps forward with you.
Oh, I assumed I was carrying him.
Mm-hmm. Or he's carrying him. Mizanaki says, the children have their own place to go where they can be clothed and fed and taught. They will be returned to you. And you turn and look, and there are two elven women holding out their hands for the children. And roll me another insight check.
That's a natural 20.
All right. When those two women, they're looking at the kids, and it's almost like they can't pull their eyes away. And one of them, you could swear to God, she's fighting back tears as she's looking at these two children, the teenager and the little boy. And one of them turns to you and says in Elvish, you speak Elvish, Cross?
I do not.
Okay. She says something in Elvish that you don't understand, but holds out her hand like she's ready to take the child from you. And the other one says the same thing to Orkilia. Orkilia looks a little concerned for a moment, but does actually hand the hand of the teenager to this woman, who begins chattering at him and leads him off.
I speak Elvish. Can I
Tell what they're
be
saying?
translator?
You can. Although this is ancient Elvish, which is very different from modern Elvish.
Oh yeah, then I don't know.
So, well, you can't. You might. You have to roll me a language, a skills check, an intelligence check, to see if you can. Much like it's like Portuguese trying to understand Italian. There's some similarities, but it's a little different. Or us trying to understand Old English.
It's not looking great so far. I just got a 3 on the die.
Oh, God.
no.
Okay. Yeah, no,
No.
you're catching a few words here and there, but really, no.
Yeah,
Yeah,
gotcha. Whoops.
yeah.
Well, I tried, Alex. I tried.
That's fine.
Okay.
Cross kind of steps back because he doesn't. I mean, he has a hard time trusting anybody. No, that's. He stays with me.
She says something to you, and she looks over at Mizanaki and shrugs, and Mizanaki says, they want to go get them better clothing and food while you are having your conference. He will be returned to you.
I feel like they could bring that to me and I can do that, but no, I'm not. He's not leaving my sight.
All right. Be aware, nothing would ever happen to a child here because there has not been a child in this land in 275 years.
Well, that's fine, but he's my responsibility, not yours.
Right. And he turns and he gestures to the woman, and she looks just kind of shattered for a brief moment before she pulls herself together and bows and leaves.
Cross respectfully does bow back and like thank you for respecting him, but yeah, no, he's not letting him out of his sight,
Okay.
at least not in a place he doesn't fully know yet.
Okay. Well, the guy who was expecting you to follow him is quite a ways away now. Do you follow?
Yep.
Okay.
And I've got
Shoot.
just because I can, I'm just gonna double move to just get right up on him. And I have now that I'm
Okay.
a little higher, I have 50 feet of movement and 1 move. So if that gets me
Nice.
to him,
It does.
Okay.
It does get you to.
so I don't even have to double.
Okay, and he leads you off. The one that Orkilia is speaking to, is speaking to Orkilia, the one who took the child, but the other, as she's watching the teenager walk away, chattering happily with no language to this person. She turns, and there is a very, very old elf who's also not a lich, and the woman gestures to Orkilia, and Orkilia goes with her. Jaswin, woman, comes up with you can just feel the magic radiating off of this woman. And Jaswin is just like, okay, I'm going with you, and goes off with her. Aramiel. The person that's there waiting for you is actually a really pretty young woman. And she smiles at you, and says in this ancient Elvish something. Roll me an intelligence check so you can figure out what she says.
Oh man, please work this time. Okay, so 17 plus intelligence, so 18.
Okay. Right. You got it this time. It was a pretty simple thing. It said, she said, come get some food and talk to the priest.
Oh, that sounds good to me.
Okay. And so you
Conscious-
follow this beautiful young elven lady and go off, leaving Shauna, you there with Mizanaki, and he's sitting there looking at you. And he says, you really don't remember.
Mm-mm. I
That
don't.
is likely a good thing. The weight of what you've done would probably crush you.
Was it bad?
it was what had to be done.
Okay.
So come with me.
Oh, okay.
And he gestures and leads you off into the depths of this tower. And now you are all separated.
Mwahaha.
And it feels kind of weird because you haven't been for a long time. But we're going to go back to Grim as he's flying away with Largo.
Grim with the fruit attacks.
One day. One day she'll get it.
One day.
Mhm. Okay, and you guys fly away for a ways. And that picture, if you can remember, the way at the far edge of the cavern where there's no more city. And it takes a while, takes a little while to get there. And he's not talking to you, he's just flying. And he's flying pretty fast, so it's kind of taking everything you've got to keep up. And he finally, over this massive, massive miles long city and cavern, get to that far wall. And in that far wall is clearly his den. And it reminds you so much of your father's den that it's kind of a little heart-wrenching. And you realize you miss your dad. Well, he flies in and he lands. And then turns to you, gestures with his head, and moves further back down a very large tunnel.
I will slowly and very, almost reverently land.
Mm-hmm.
How I haven't been to a proper den in a long time.
Yeah.
I guess it seems long. Okay, let's go.
Okay, he's already going. So as you say, okay, let's go, you begin following him and you go into this tunnel, and carved along the wall are writings and runes and stuff that are very much like the ones that led to the library.
He will just start talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, these runes, they're like the ones that were at the library. I recognize this one, and what does all this mean?
He keeps going, and finally he stops before an opening. It's back through all these winding tunnels with all the writing and stuff. And he turns his head back to you and says, "It means I'm very old." And he turns and he goes into that room.
How old? And he follows.
Okay. And as soon as you walk in, you are struck dumb. Because this is his hoard that he has brought you to. And it is amazing. This cavern goes back probably 2 miles. And every inch of that floor is filled with stuff. Gold, ancient vehicles, statuary, crystals, gems, just everything. An entire civilization of treasure lines this cavern.
My father probably didn't have 1/10 of this.
No.
Well, he actually says it.
Yeah.
He can't help himself. He's talking.
And Largo, he flies over to the far end where there's a special little, you know exactly how this works. Almost like a little bed or a throne made of just the best of the best stuff. And he sits on it very regally and turns and looks at you and said, "And who is your father?"
Oh, his name is Aristotrax.
Aristotrax and Mechanianophonur.
You know his full name? You know my dad?
When I knew him, he was a stupid child, a puppy.
He's not like that at all.
Not now. He still lives.
Yes, he's, what's the word, venerated by our kind now.
His long serpentine neck accentuates his nod. He says, tell me of life in that prison we put ourselves in.
Well, I mean, there's the coming of age trial, which it messes with your head a little bit to become a full adult. I actually almost died as a whelp. If it hadn't have been for my father finding me because I was the runt. But I actually grew bigger than all of my brothers and sisters. I'm stronger, I'm faster. I'm a lot smarter. They're idiots. They don't even recognize that I am their brother by blood. There's a lot of political stuff that happens that was really above my head, but I got to see some of it right before I left. And I know that most of our kind are itching to come back into the world and burn it all down. That's why I'm here.
To burn it all down?
No. To find out what should be burned down.
I see. And he sits up a little bit. So you have wisdom, you say.
As much as I can. But experiences are really what brings wisdom, I think. And I've got a lot of life to live before I think I can attain true wisdom. They sent me because I'm expendable.
He smiles. It doesn't look like a nice smile, though. I mean, he's a Dracolich. Nothing kind of looks nice. And he turns away and he picks up something from his hoard and he holds it out to you in a giant clawed hand.
What's this? I'll reach for it reverently.
Okay.
Like everything is very, like, I know how to do this.
He puts it in your hand and you realize that it's a skull. It's a dragon skull.
Oh.
Three of us came to help our brother, the elves. Three of us refused to go into the prison. Two died. One a true death. One a half death.
I met the other one.
You would have had to come through. And that leaves only me. And now I will never die. At least not win. But I am one.
I look for a place to, do I give it back or the skull?
Do you say that?
Where Where can I put them?
Answer me a question first.
Of course.
The tracks.
Grimajakuthatrax.
One day your name will be longer.
I'm still not sure how that happens.
As you do great deeds, those deeds are added to your name. I offer you this. I offer you to be of my house. Of the oath takers, the ones who swore to protect those that humanity would destroy, those who stayed outside instead of safely hidden away, so that we may fight this great evil. But with only one of us left, we could not fight, and we had to hide. I would make more of us. Of this house.
I would join. I don't think that would upset my father. I don't have to die, right? That's not...
No.
Okay.
Unless you want to. There are advantages and disadvantages to this state. However, there is an oath you must take.
A what?
An oath you must take.
Oh, okay.
As I have taken. And he speaks an oath in ancient Draconic that's even from the dragons hidden in the archipelago, older and kind of archaic. You can understand most of it. And the gist of that oath that he speaks to you in Draconic is that for the rest of your existence, until the danger is gone from humanity, that you will protect the elven kind.
He, to the best of his ability, will repeat the oath.
Roll me a performance check.
God, performance. Oh, okay. All right. Not bad. Not great, but
great.
Not bad. That's 2 16s in a row. So that's a dirty 20.
Okay, you actually do it justice. You get some of the pronunciations wrong, but you were pretty sure you got all the words and stuff. And he listens. And then he reaches forward. And right here, with that massive claw that even on your very massive head is massive, more massive, he reaches and he pulls one of your scales off right in the middle of your forehead.
I know I'm not supposed to make a noise. I'm not supposed to move. I've been in situations like this before with my father. You just
take it.
Mm-hmm.
And he takes
Stone still.
And he eats it. You've heard of that kind of an oath, but you haven't ever witnessed it. And it's weird because where he pulled that off, it burns a little bit. It hurts. He pulled a scale right off of your head. It's attached to your skin, or it was.
Right.
But then there's a little bit more. You're pretty sure that there is some magic involved here with this oath.
It is really hard to keep the little grin from the sides of his mouth. Like, no, be cool. Just be cool.
Okay.
Not that he can do magic, but he loves magic.
Oh, he loves magic, right? And Largo turns to you, says, Grimmadreth Kuthatrax. You may now add Ronentrol to your name for being of my house.
Oh yeah.
And then he reaches behind him and he picks up something else. And he holds it out to you. By God, it's a diamond or something. This fucking big. And he says, Cavern, there is where you will begin your hoard.
There?
He does that with his head, like, go on.
Wings. Thank you so much. I will not let you down, and I will grow strong.
That's good.
And he hovers for a second and kind of like lowers his head in a bow.
Mm-hmm.
And then he'll go.
Okay. And as you head away to that opening that he gestured at, and he opens up into another cavern. It's not quite as big as his, but bigger than any hoard room that you have ever seen on the archipelago because they didn't have enough space. And then it occurs to you that as you were leaving, you were so excited that something nagged at you, that there was something sad about the end there.
I will begin the placement of my hoard.
Okay.
And then I'm going to slowly and respectfully go back. I'll announce myself,
Okay.
in traditional fashion. Largo, it is I.
You see, he hasn't really moved since you left. But as you speak, he turns his head towards you and his eyes, that weird magic in his eyes flashes for just a bit. He doesn't speak, but he looks at you.
I don't want to sound petulant or overstep. But is everything all right?
A millennia of protection has been broken. The evil that we are being protected from still exists. Our kind are imprisoned. Their kind are, and he gestures kind of at the elves, are imprisoned. And my life is at low ebb. I will exist forever, but I will not live forever.
Is there any way I can help?
You can protect them for me. You can free your brothers and sisters when the time is right.
That is my intention.
You are the only one who can. Do you realize? Do you understand? And he gets up, and all of a sudden his voice gets louder. like this is something he feels strongly about, you know? And he leans towards you and he goes, "Do you understand that you are the only one who can?"
I've had some time to reflect upon it, and yes, my decisions, every choice that I make, will ultimately lead to whatever happens to the rest of our kind.
Indeed.
That's why I have to learn as much as I can.
Then begin here. He gestures to the other side of this very large cavern, the opposite side from where your new little burgeoning horde is.
There? What is there?
Everything.
Well, there's no time like the present. And he'll go to where he was told to go, and
you realize that those carvings, like from the library, kind of all lead to this place. And as you look inside, you realize it's a library. Not an exact replica, but as close as he could make it. And there are a lot of books to read.
And Grimm does not waste a second. He's just, you hear a, "Oh, wow." And then
that's it.
That's it.
Okay, and then we will leave Grimm reading with his new oath and his new horde. And we go to Cross. This gentleman walks for a while. You realize that this is through just a maze of corridors in this gigantic tower. The inside of the tower is so cool, though. It's so different. It's like it's been carved from one huge, like, black diamond. But the tower itself seems to go like a mile into the air. And as he takes you through these corridors and you go upstairs, you realize you're going up higher in the tower. And he doesn't speak the whole time you're walking. Although your boy is like, "Ooh, oh," trying to touch things and stuff. There is beautiful carvings everywhere. There's a few places where it's open to the outside in such a way that it forces the air to move and almost creates like a light music. As you walk, all of a sudden the air is like fresh for a second and there's music, and then you walk out of it and it's the close hallways of this very large building again. And it's just, I don't know, there's not plants per se in here, but there are places where there's carefully crafted and shaped lichen on the walls that create light effects, like that rainbow cavern that you saw. There's streams of purpling and bluish marble interspersed with the crystalline nature of this diamond-like building and stuff. And it's just, I mean, you've not seen anything like it. It's really beautiful. And you have a feeling that every single inch of this tower is probably worth millions of gold if you could find a way to get any part of it out. And it doesn't seem to have any light protections. There's not guards there guarding these things that, you could chip a piece off and nobody'd even notice, you think, maybe. But he just keeps walking, and he's taking you up and up and up the spiral. Do you say anything, or do you just follow him in silence? Okay.
Kind of just after gauging him, gauging me, I think I'm going to stay quiet.
Okay. Finally, you're starting to actually feel a little tired from all of these stairs. When he finally stops and opens the door and then turns for you, he waits for you to enter.
Oh. Just because he's cross, he's going to just kind of look for...
Before he goes in?
Yeah. Like, just make kind of like not like, oh, you're like looking around, like, but he's making a very like he's being very aware as he walks in.
Okay. And as you walk in, what you see is that you're actually nearer the top of that tower. And it is open, like almost like windows on all sides. You can see the entire cavern from here. In the center of the room is a large round table with things inscribed into it and scrolls on it. And if you look, they look like they're made out of like a leather of some sort as opposed to like a paper. There is tables of different things that are devices. You don't know what they are on there. And he's clearly standing on the inside holding the door for you so that you can come in with him.
All right. Oh, I meant like I'm like being aware as I walk in.
Yeah,
Like,
once you walk in. Okay, and as you walk in, he lets go of the door and it quietly closes behind you. And you realize that there is a door on the opposite side of this room as well. But the rest of it is like it's windowed.
Does this look like like quarters, or does it look like a war room?
It looks like a war
study,
room.
Or okay.
Looks kind of like a war room, as best as you can tell. There's not like weapons in here.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a map on there. There's like I said, strange gadgets and baubles on little shelves around the room. And as you walk in, you realize that, when you guys flew in, you could see one side of the cavern, but you couldn't really see what was on this other side of this tower because the tower obscured so much of it. But now you can see the whole thing. And it's just, it almost looks like writing, the way that those cliffs are organized. Like it's some sort of a rune or something, but maybe it's just the way that they built up all of these years. And he stands there in the middle for a moment, looking down at what seems to be probably a map. And he looks up and looks at you and says, in Elvish, something that you don't understand. And he waits for a moment. And then he speaks again you speak common, but do you speak ancient?
No.
Okay, roll me an intelligence check to see.
Thieves can't.
Yeah, see if you can understand this very ancient. It's like understanding Old English for us. It's similar, but there's some words that are very different.
Just straight up intelligence?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, that is a 24.
All right. With your 24, you realize that this man, as he speaks to you in this very ancient common, is talking to you like a peer. He turns and says to you, military man?
You could say that.
I could see the type. I am instructed that you are to help us. I've been told that our protections are now gone.
The gate is open. What kind of, and he did mention your dragon friend is one of the protectors. What else? He wasn't very specific on what else you had that could protect this.
I'm afraid I can't tell you
Yes.
everything at once yet. Trust is something that must be earned, as I'm sure you're aware. However, first I want to show you what it is that we protect.
He just
He,
kind of
ge- he,
gives them
gest-
that like nod.
he gestures at the child that you're holding. He says, "You're dying people. We have a millennia of music and art and wisdom and science and beautiful things that will die if we don't find a way." And he gestures at the child to continue. I'm one of the very few in this place that has believed for a long time that we should not sequester ourselves away, that we should meet them again head on. They don't know what we are now. But we don't know what they are either.
Right now, I don't really think it matters versus what they are, what you are, or something. I don't know what you know, what you've been told. There's something that if we don't do something about, it's going to kill us all.
Tell me about it.
We don't know too much. It's like a green fog that moves anything it touches. It's like it's pulling your soul from you. I felt it once. I saw it happen to someone else. I've seen a lot, and it was not something I wish to see again or feel again. Whatever it touches, if you don't, apparently you can, because I and my friend were able to resist whatever it was, but only for a second. But mostly everything it touches, I'm assuming, dies and then keeps going. And anything it touches dies. And
So much as the undead, only.
It's like the undead, except it's spreading. Yeah. And it's not only the undead that spread it, but it just, the fog itself moves as if it is alive.
I see.
The only one who knows.
Sorry.
The only one who knows anything is Penny. Or sorry, I don't know her. Is that name? I don't actually know her real name, but she was there when it happened. She's the only one who knows anything.
And she is with your group?
She was the very cheerful one that you may have seen.
The moon elf.
You would know better than I.
He looks at you very strangely when you say that. They don't teach of the different kinds of elves anymore out there?
We've been outside for a long time, and there's not a lot of us left.
I see. Well, perhaps we should seal back up again until this green fog has done its duty and dissipated. But we need...
You do that, there'll be no world to open up to. You can't do that.
There are many here who say, yes, we can. We care nothing for that world. But I'm not one of them. And he stands up and he goes to look out the window and he gestures. We're a dying people. A dying people that I love desperately. And without you, the rest of you, the surface elves, who can have children, we will die. And without us, you, the surface elves, will be destroyed. If not by this green fog, by the alchemages. Which, as I understand it, are still in power out there.
Very much so.
So, my job first is to keep us safe. But my idea of safe is not the same as the rest of the Senate.
How so?
They believe we should hide, as we have done for a very long time. But I don't believe that that is serving us anymore. At the same time, we are fragile. We are not an army to fight. We have amazing magics. But magic can only take you so far, as you're aware.
I don't think you're going to need an army. There's only a few mages left, and they're about as terrified of what happened as everyone else is. And they don't know how to stop it. And I don't think they have the ability to. And look, I know everyone has a reason to hate humans. But I don't think that everyone needs to die. And it's not just humans, though. It's everything. If we don't do something, everything is going to die. I don't know if that door will stop it. I don't know if we don't know enough about it. But...
And that seems like that's the first thing. But let me show you something. Let me show you something. He's the window that he's looking out of. He touches it, and it changes. And suddenly you're seeing a different space. A little series of buildings carved into the side of one of these caverns. Shauna, could you show the second image? Thank you. Thank you. Stairs and stone and lichen carved into the side of the wall, but walking up these stairs it's a community. There's an old woman standing outside of one of those doorways, and she's laughing and smiling as the people pass her. You know, mothers with baskets, fathers with odd implements of maybe commerce. You're not really sure. You would say mothers and fathers because they seem to be of that age, but there are no children. And but it's a busy, bustling community here in the dark, lit by these blue glows. There's smiling, there's laughing, there's a couple of men over there arguing, just like every culture ever. And yet, the clothing that they're wearing is beautiful. The jewelry that they're wearing is beautiful. It's just this beautiful, bustling little piece of this city. And then he reaches up and he touches it again. And suddenly you're inside a building. And those carved sandy stone walls, interspersed with crystal and colored lichen. They have several large blue crystals lighting up the room. And you realize that it's a school, but it's not a school for like reading and writing. It's a school of art. And the students are sculpting. And even the worst sculptor there is making something that, as you look at it, you're just in awe. It is so beautiful, this piece of sculpture. And it's of something you've never seen before. Maybe it's not even something that exists except in this artist's mind. But the lines are so smooth and graceful that it makes you feel emotionally calm. Like perhaps he's sculpting emotion. And then the gentleman touches the window again. And you see a bustling market that's down. It seems like it's probably at the bottom of those giant caverns, that's where the lower class or the markets are. And there's people there hawking food. There's people there eating food. There's people looking at cloth. There's people looking at strange implements made from crystal that you don't know what they do. There's people that are once again laughing as they go by each other. There's a street musician, and it's a beautiful community there. And you see something you haven't seen in a long time. You see joy on these simple elven faces, even though they're odd and white. He touches it again. And it shows something much like an amphitheater. It's it's very clear kind of from what you see, what that is. There's a group of elven men and women, older, several of them with the glowing eyes like Mizanayaki of a lich, several of them without. And they're standing around this large room, clearly arguing with each other. In very formal looking robes, you're sure it's probably the Senate that they spoke about. He says, and as you can see, all the peace that's down at the bottom of our hierarchy doesn't transfer to the top. And he touches it again, and it goes clear into a window. And he says, so, what is your name?
Cross.
And I am Doran. Doran Gray. It's a joke that they gave me many years ago. And I would ask you, Cross, did anything there touch you? Of what I showed?
You have something here the rest of the world does not. You have hope. You have joy. And people who live without the fear of something terrible happening on the very next moment. That's what that is what the upset, the surface world is like right now. And yeah, the Alchemages need to be stopped. They need to be stopped. But we also need to stop, and like you said, we need to figure out more information on what it is, what it does. How do we stop it?
Well, Cross, it seems to me that you and I are simple men. We are the fighters. We're not the magicians or the politicians. I think that they will have their say in how to stop this fog. But I think you and I should have a discussion about how to stop the Alchemages. Because as soon as they find the way is opened, they will come to us.
I don't even think they know you exist. I don't think anybody knows this exists.
Except you. Now.
Only because Penny knew.
So, if the Alchemages do find out and do come, have you had any dealings with them?
Unfortunately. And as far as I know, if they do come, they're gonna bring everything. Because they're weak and they know it. Because they're running out of components. And this would be the only place they could get more. So if they do know, best believe me, they're gonna bring every last of what they got because they know it's their last chance.
And what would you do to stop them?
They're expecting you to hide. Don't do that. Send.
Yeah, he smiles.
Like I said, you don't need an army. You just need a few well-placed people. Because once the mages are gone, everyone else below them will crumble. Especially in the face of... He just kind of looks up and he's of all this. Most of the world wants what you want. Nobody... The only reason people even... Well, mostly there are bad people who relish in it. But the majority of people only do it out of fear. Or because they think they have to. You show them something better and they'll take it.
That has been true for all people through all time. Well then, I take it your people are who you expect to be well placed to get this far.
We're hoping so, but we're also hoping maybe you've got something or someone, because the Alchemages ain't, we're, I like to think I'm pretty good at what I do. They're really good at what they do. And I'd be a fool to think that I could do that on my own, or that even just the 5 of us could do it on our own.
All right, well, walk with me. You tell me what you can do, and I will tell you what we can do. And he reaches up and he kind of chucks the chin of the child and says, "What is his name?"
Did we actually have an official name for him?
You'd given him sort of a kind of a funny name, but not a real name, though.
God damn it. All right. Now I want to look something up.
Okay.
So if you need to, get back to me, because I'm actually going to look up a name that I want.
Okay. Well, this is where we're going to break. Is he's going to check the Jensen, ask the name. You tell him the name, and he says, "All of us can only dream of what you have here."
Starting to realize that myself. Like, kind of, the first time he kind of like gives that like
Yeah.
that very vulnerable smile that Cross normally doesn't do.
And then he leads you out of that room, and you begin talking tactics. And we'll move on to Rob. All right.
Aye.
And as you're walking, you walk away with this pretty young lady, and she's kind of chattering, and you're only picking up a few words here and there, but she's just chattering, and she's like talking about this, and then she reaches up and she kind of raps on your armor a little bit and says something, and then it's like, and she keeps leading you down. So it's a very one-sided conversation. Do you say anything to her in common?
I guess.
Or Elven,
yes,
or modern Elven?
I could say in Elven, like, where are we going? Where are we headed?
Okay. She stops and she looks at you in surprise and says, and like mimics a few of the words like that are different. And she's like, "It's changed." And she says it very carefully. She starts going off and just really clearly very excited about something. And then she like starts hurrying you down, and you realize that you're going down
Okay.
this massive tower. And it takes a little while, but as you get down and she's chattering and it's one-sided, you say a few things in Elvish, and she mostly just seems very excited about it, and she kind of is leading you on, say more, but not like she understands, but like she's trying to learn it a little bit or something.
Okay.
Eventually you get down a long ways, and the corridor opens up into a beautiful grand staircase, beautiful crystalline things on it. There's like soft lichens that are on the steps to make them, I don't know, prettier. They kind of glow a little bit, but they're also softer and a lot more stable, because the crystals you've been finding is a little slippery with your footing. You get down there and you go down and you realize that you're going into something that looks like the interior of a giant temple. Okay. And as you're looking through this, you're looking at, and there's lots of people in there, and it's very clear that there's a little bit of a class structure here. Some of them with nicer clothes are off in their own little separate area that's a little more ornate, and some with more simple clothing over here in the bigger area. But they're all eating food and chattering happily within their groups and stuff. And nobody seems starved. Nobody's clothing is ragged, even the lower caste. It's all very nice. All of the food is good, as best as you can. And you realize you're hungry, and this smells really good. And she leads you down and takes you past everybody, and you're like, "Oh, that food smells really good," as you walk past it and stuff. And then she finally gets you to the end, to a very tall woman who is taller than you, surprisingly, especially for an elf. And she looks down at you a little bit with her strange, underground eyes and her pale skin, her dark eyes. And she says something to you in this ancient Elvish. Roll me an intelligence check.
Got a 16.
Okay. You understood some of it. And she says, "Welcome. They tell me that you are a worshiper."
All right. Indeed. Do you all know? Do you all know Nexus?
He like, or she seems a little drawn aback by your accent or the words you said, and she's like turns to the girl and says something very fast. You can't keep up with it, and the girl's like, "If this is going on, blah 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 blah," and then she turns to you in very careful old Elvish, slows it down a little bit, and says, "Nexus."
All right.
That sounds a little like our god Nexon, who was the goddess of the Noctilthar, the elves of the night. But you do not look like an elf of the night.
All right. No, I just got fitted with new ears. Just a few, bless you. Just got fitted with new ears just a few minutes ago, actually.
New ears. What were you before?
I was a human. Was.
All of a sudden, the girl takes a step back from you, her eyes kind of wide in fear, literal fear. This girl who's been talking to you so nicely.
Oh.
And the woman just says, "Shh."
I mean you no harm.
But if you speak that word here, there are those who would mean you harm.
Oh. All right. Noted. Thank you.
So, Nixon, tell me about your god.
What's the goddess of light? Actually, it's been a while since I've researched Nexus. So.
Okay.
So yes, I don't know the entirety.
Got it. Good. Goddess of outcasts and travelers, orphans, forgotten places, and the unknown.
That's. So yes. So I say all of those things.
We'll see. Well, okay. Here we don't worship the old gods because we are not the night elves. We worship Felowin.
Okay.
Do you know of her worship?
I do not. How does it go?
This is the worship of everything natural, everything beautiful, life, death. It's all under Felowin.
Okay.
It's not the god of greed, not the god of power. She is the god of these, and she gestures at the most simply dressed people.
Okay.
And she loves them as much as she loves these, and gestures at the very finely dressed people.
Okay.
What is the worship of Felowin up there?
What is the worship outside? The worship for me, I live with Nexus, but I don't know. I don't know about the worship of Felowin.
I'm surprised. Well, you look hungry. Let us go more privately. I'll have some food and we will discuss matters of the gods.
Fair.
And she leads you away from this wonderful feast and all of these people chattering and worshiping here in this really beautiful temple. And she takes you back to a little room back behind where the big statues Oh, you didn't realize. As you go back towards the back of this tall room, that thing that just looked like ridges in the wall as you look up and up and up, that's actually a statue. And it's a statue of what looks an awful lot like a woman mixed with a bear, mixed with an eagle. It's really quite strange, but really beautifully carved. But this woman, bear, eagle thing, that must be Felowin. Why it's a woman, bear, eagle, you don't know. But as you realize as you're going back, looking at this and stuff, you turn around and you see the young girl gesturing quietly and talking to them, casting furtive, frightened glances at you. And the old woman is like, and shoos her away. And with what seems like relief, the girl leaves. The old woman leads you in and says, let's go sit down and eat, and we will speak. I am the priestess Dawn.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, Dawn. I am Aramiel.
I'm pleased to meet you too. She takes you inside and she closes the door and she says, okay, now we can speak to you. And that cheerful, calm demeanor changes.
Okay.
And she says, you're a human. How did you get in?
Indeed. Well, I was corrected, so it seems. But no, we seem to make a front door for ourselves.
So you came in through.
Yes, we actually made friends with your dragon before coming in as well.
Wargo?
That's the one.
He's. Or after you got through, how did you get through?
Oh, we had to be corrected, you know.
No, that is after. How did you get through the first door?
Well,
Sealed against humans.
Well, I do have a bit of magic in me as well. So we have in our party a few quite magical creatures, such as yourself, that helped us get through. But we're here for a reason. We're here to help.
Help who?
On the world, there is a terrible, terrible green light going across the entire world that will eventually destroy everyone, including you all eventually, I'm sure. And we have to find a way to stop it. And our journey has brought us here. And we have to find answers.
You realize that her silence, the staring that she's giving at you, is really kind of making you babble a little bit, because it's really uncomfortable and it reminds you uncomfortably of somebody else. She smiles at you, this old woman, old even for an elf. Her face is beginning to wrinkle like elves never do, that you ever heard of anyway. Right. Of course, maybe those ones have never lived long enough. And she says, you're an idiot. I need to know more so that we can be safe. Well, excuse me, my humanish friend. And she reaches out and she pats your head. And roll me an intelligence save.
Oh wow. Oh no. Oh no.
Oh shit.
Well, I got a I got a 4.
Okay.
Shit.
What's about to
Next thing
happen?
you know, she's patting your head, and then it seems like it's just normal and natural, and you're sitting at the table with a bunch of these people, and you're just eating and you're laughing and you understand them now, and you're just having such a good time, and they're talking about how old Jacoby over there, he was like, out hunting, and one of these words that you didn't understand that makes it sound like it's like some underground cave alligator or something,
Right.
snuck up on him, and he fought it, and he brought home its skin, and another one starts joking about how he turned the skin into a toilet seat, and it's so that you have to really like be careful of the teeth when you sit down. And the food is so good, and the company is convivial, and you feel like feel part of it. You really feel like it's part of it, and you're laughing and joking with them, and it's like you've been serving the goddess of outcasts for a long time.
Okay.
But in this group, you're not an outcast. You're part of them, a community. And they know you, and they're joking with you, and they're laughing about your boots, and you're laughing about their boots. And it's just silly. One of them
Okay.
slides you a mug of something to drink that is clearly very alcoholic, but really delicious. And you drink it and you don't feel buzzed. You don't feel drunk. You just get to enjoy the flavor without the rest of the issue.
All right.
And it's just like you're just having such a great time. And you guys laugh through the whole evening, and you enjoy it, and you talk about the community there, just like you're part of it, like you've lived there your whole life. And
Well,
part
that's
of you goes, I kind of wish I had. And eventually you start yawning because you're just going so late, and you finally stumble off with a couple of them to some beds in a little room off to the side for the people who had a little too much.
all right.
And you lay down in this, and they laugh a little bit as everybody begins to fall asleep, and you fall asleep. And it just feels so nice. And
Huh.
then you realize that you're feeling a little cold
Hmm.
as
Oh
you
no.
find yourself slowly waking up. And you realize you're on the floor.
Okay.
And it's that same room, not the one where you were drinking, but one where you're talking to the priestess Dawn. And you don't know how much time has passed.
Oh no.
And Dawn is no longer there. And that stone floor is not very comfortable.
Do I still have my armor? Was I robbed?
Oh, yeah. No, you have
Okay.
everything just fine. You were
Okay.
you clearly weren't robbed of anything physical.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, I just lost a intelligence save and freaking got roofied by an elf.
Yeah. And so as you sit up, you realize that was probably all just a dream.
Super fun.
And it makes you feel sad that it was a dream, because you felt part of a community that liked you and welcomed you. And you realize you have a headache.
Yeah. Well, that was no fun.
And then there's a little knock at the door.
You know, You go check it out.
Okay, you go over, you open the door,
Yeah, for sure.
and there's that girl again, that pretty young girl, or seems young. Elves, you can't tell, but and she offers you a little tray with some food and stuff on it, and says very carefully, and very careful old elf, using some of the new words that you were saying to her. She says, "Eat, and then they will take you back."
Okay. Do you have any idea what that older elf just did to me a moment ago?
A moment ago.
Um,
Oh
uh,
no, you've been in here for, and she names off a measurement of time that you've never heard of. Just so you have no real understanding of what that means.
of course.
But there's a sense that it's been a while.
Right.
And she says, and she left a little time ago. Here, eat and drink something, and then I will take you back to the others.
Okay.
And
Right,
she hands that to you with carefully not touching your hand, and then backs out, bows respectfully, closes the door, and is gone.
Damn, man. You tell one elf you're a human, and now you're freaking ostracized from the group. just trying to make small talk here.
Oh dear. Oh dear. And that is where we will leave Aramiel eating dinner alone in this cold room.
After I just got
Instead-
elf roofied.
Yep. And had a great dream. And Shauna, we're going to end out the evening with you.
Ah, shit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm here.
Mizanayaki, as they've all left, returns finally to you once everybody's gone and says, "It is good to see you again, Saga."
I would say the same, but I don't. You seem familiar.
It's okay. Come with me,
Okay.
and we will talk.
This is how Penny waddles.
Uh-huh. And you realize that with your feet not scarred and cut up and burned and stuff, that it's actually, you can walk, you find yourself just naturally walking a little more gracefully. And that almost feels kind of weird by itself, it's been so long. And finally he gets, actually you don't walk very far. It takes you almost to the same level, but deeper into the tower. And finally at what you think might be the heart of the tower, because there's like no windows, no anything out in here. He opens the door to a little round room and says, "Enter, my old friend."
Okay. I'll walk in. Does any of this seem familiar to me so far?
Oh,
Any
no.
of this place? No?
No,
Okay.
not at all.
I figured it's been 700 years. Probably wouldn't be familiar.
Okay. And you come in, and it's actually a beautiful, comfortable sitting room. There's comfortable couches and chairs, prettily carved blue crystal lights. There's a wall of books on one end, or what you assume must be books, because they're not like the books you're familiar with from the Alchemage's place.
Yeah.
But you think they're probably some sort of a book they're writing and stuff. There's a table there. There is, this is one of the few places here that's warm. Here underground, everything's kind of cold, but this room, and you can't even really see why, but it's warm and it's comforting, and there's soft things on the ground, on the hard stone, the diamond that you're standing on. And he gestures to one of the seats.
Okay. As I head over to the seat, can I do I guess a perception check to see if I see anything that might seem familiar. Like if he has any items that might, like, I don't know, maybe I could remember if he was wearing a suit of armor at some point in time in our history and I see it there on the wall or something like that.
Okay. Roll me an intelligence check
Okay.
with disadvantage.
Okay. Disadvantage. Okay, that is a... Oh, I have a +6, so that's not too bad. Okay. That's 16 at disadvantage.
Okay.
Anything?
Not really, but kind of. There's things that look like they were familiar at one point, but they're not exactly like, I mean, it's not stuff that you had,
Yeah.
but it's like stuff you may have had. That's how you knew those were books. They don't look like human books. Okay. Okay.
I'm very happy.
Okay.
I remembered
Yeah.
something.
You remembered something. Okay.
Yay!
And it's just warm and it's soft. The chair is soft. You sit down into it and it's like there's something about, I mean, you haven't had anything comfortable like this
In a
in,
well, outside of
in your memory, really.
yeah,
In your
outside
clear
of the
memory.
box, the more
Yeah.
recent stuff. But okay,
You
cool.
sit down and he sits down across from you and gestures and whoop, with a little burst of light, 2 wine glasses carved from crystal of some sort, maybe some of the sort of the dark diamond that the whole tower's out of, filled with a beautiful sparkling liquid, and he hands you one.
Thank you.
And he sighs, and he looks at you and says, Sama-saba.
Sama-saba.
I used to dream of being able to see you again, even though we knew it was never supposed to happen.
Why?
Because we needed to exist on opposite sides of the door. And now that you're here, I have a dilemma.
What's the
And
dilemma?
he takes a sip of the drink.
I sniff it.
What do I tell you?
Everything. Please. Can you help me get my memory back?
No. Because I'm not the one who took it.
But do you know how it got taken?
Somewhat. It's not my realm of magic.
What kind of magic?
Yours.
Mine.
You did it to yourself.
I did it to myself. Okay.
He takes another drink, almost like he's trying to fortify himself to get through this conversation.
Were we good friends?
Friends. No. Just as 2 leaders cannot be friends because their people come first.
Okay. Not enemies?
Oh no.
Okay.
You sealed us in here for our safety at our request.
Did I hurt the dragons? The other dragon outside said that I did that to him.
You did. At his request.
Okay.
He was dying. one of only 3 that existed in the world anymore. And he needed to be here to protect.
Okay. He was very mad at me. But he's resting now. He was not happy.
Did he go out?
Yes. I took him. He wanted to go outside and see the sunrise, so I went out with him.
Roll me an insight check.
Okay. Insight. Ooh, natural 20 on the dice. 1 second. How is this? 24.
Okay. When you say that, and he saw the sunrise, he smiles as if he knows something that's kind of funny.
What's that?
What happened when the sunrise hit it?
He went poof.
What do you think happens when the sunrise stops hitting him?
Is he healed?
The lich light flares in his eyes for just a second. He says, "You have loosed an undead dragon on this world."
Oh, I told him about the green fog, so hopefully he doesn't touch that because it will destroy him and then make him.
What does the green fog destroy exactly?
Everything alive. Everything.
Okay, Shauna, I'm going to real quick say, are you saying that because that's what Penny remembers or what you're trying to get him to know?
A little bit of both. She wants him to understand how dangerous this is. Because she watched it kill the first human who is kind to her in 700 years and every other animal that she could see, and she doesn't want to tell him that it doesn't seem to affect magical creatures like herself because she hasn't really seen that for sure. She doesn't actually know if that's true. But also, if he thinks that elves are in danger as well, then he will take it more seriously instead of being like, well, good to kill everything else, you know.
Okay.
And I don't want that.
Okay, well, his intuition check was very bad. So he's believing this so far. He's like, is that why you opened the door again?
I had a dream about a wolf and the door, and there was a feeling that I needed to open it. The green fog, the only thing I know for sure is that I caused it, but I don't know how. I stabbed the alchemage when he was trying to cast it, and it did something. So it doesn't hurt me, but it hurts everything else, and I don't know why, and I don't know how to stop it.
If I told you that you don't want to remember, could you accept that?
No.
Even if it meant that you knew that you had done terrible things.
But if remembering can help me do good things, isn't it worth it?
Not if it destroys you.
But if destroying me can stop the green stuff, the green fog, and save more people, and maybe make it so that you guys can go outside without fear, is it worth it?
The only way we could go outside without fear is if every last alchemage or human bearing that ability is dead.
There's not many left.
How do you know?
Because the alchemages have not allowed it. There's only the most powerful, and everyone else is different. The others don't need.
He interrupts you. It's almost like this question has been like sitting inside of him for a while until it finally just came out. He said, "What happened to you?"
I don't remember how this happened, but an alchemage a long time ago captured me, and I was in their cages in the dark for years until the next guy that I hurt got me, and they would use me for pieces, and I don't remember much but the pain.
He takes another sip and isn't looking at you for a minute. I will enact vengeance on your behalf.
They are dead, so there's no one to have vengeance on.
Oh, yes, there is. And he stands up and he offers to take your hand and help you up.
Okay.
Like a gentleman. Like a gentleman.
Okay. Penny's like, what is this? And she'll like reach out when he takes it, puts his hand out. She'll reach out to like shake it. Like, huh?
And he stands you up and he says, Saba, the fact you could remember anything means that it will come back. But I will not make it come back. Because it is not mine to give you. It is yours to give yourself. Now come. Let's go return to everyone.
Okay.
And we'll begin to figure out what we need to do to protect our people. And he stops you and takes your hand and looks into your eyes very deeply and very seriously and says, our people. And he lets you go.
Before he lets me go, I'm going to say, everyone who is not going to harm us is our people. And that includes humans.
When we see it, it will be so.
The humans here saved my life many times.
But they are not humans.
Anymore. but they saved my life when they were.
And so we have not imprisoned them. We have not killed them. Instead, we have offered them wisdom and comradeship. And perhaps they will help save our people too. But for now, we have a lot of very nosy busybodies who need to be told what's going on. I hope you're ready for politics.
Ugh.
With that, he laughs a little bit, gestures, and the drinks go poof right out of your hand.
I had one sip and was just kind of holding it the rest of the time. So it's like,
And it's like, oh, it's gone.
I was like, oh,
It's
oh,
gone.
well. I don't.
And he gestures for you to walk in front of him out the door. And that's where we're going to end it tonight.
Okay. Oh, Ska.
Next episode is politics.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Hey, politics.
Woo.
Oh,
Are we gonna start out with Orkelia and
Yes,
Jasmine
and
doing
Jasmine.
theirs? Okay.
Yep, absolutely. Because each of you are getting a piece of a puzzle. And stuff. And so, and then when it comes all back together, hopefully that will help move things forward. Anyway,
Politics.
I know it was kind of a
Alright.
lower energy, getting in people's heads kind of episode, but I really like seeing how each of you were handling this. And then there's Rob.
Also, I have decided the child's name.
Yes.
Oh,
What is the
excellent.
child's name?
It is Edriath.
Edria. That's pretty.
And how do you spell that?
Ed, ED, RAITH.
Idray.
And it is
Edria.
well, it's if you can pronounce it many different ways, but
Right.
I like Edriath.
Edria. Okay.
But it is the Elvish word for salvation.
Nice.
Nice. Very nice. Okay.
Awesome.
Alrighty. Woohoo! Oh, that's what he says. It should be Grogu.
Grogu.
Child.
We are Maximilian.
This is my child.
Well, it's been the child for a long time now.
I mean, Cross has now joined the ranks of Geralt, Batman, and the Mandalorian.
And for those
Amazing.
who are watching The Last of Us, also Joel.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Indiana Jones.
Hey.
Hey.
Goddamn
it's a-
shorty.
Come on.
Isn't that great though? I love that. Because I think it's true for all of us. When we connect with somebody, when they need us, it really gives us a lot of
Purpose.
our own salvation. All right. Enough seriousness.
Good night, everyone.
Everybody,
Good
good
night,
night,
everybody.
My shirt back.
You have your shirt back, and you have a horde.
Yes.
It's only one thing so far.
But it's a
But it's
giant
still-
thing.
It's a big thing.
Like that's in
Well-
dragon hands.
Yeah. Exactly.
I
Which
think
means
it
it's
makes sense that Grimm has a big thing.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And on that note, good night, everybody.
Good night,
everybody.
everybody.
Night.